welcome back to another video. I am in the car on my way up to check out a rental 80 miles away from where I live in a much more conservative, less diverse part of the state, but still part of the state. You can actually wear a Trump hat out here and not have to fear for your life. It's that good. I wanted to do a quick video on a theory and kind of an idea I came up with for self-improvement, for also just kind of for like professional growth. And hear me out. So we have been dealing with a lot of people in the real estate and rental industry. So we are not buying a house right now because we don't have time. As of, I think, Wednesday, we'll be at 45 days left in which we need to be out of the area. And that's really not enough time to find a house you love, get approved for a loan, and then make an offer and close and go through escrow and all that. It's just not enough time. So renting is what we're going to do, particularly also because we're going to be moving to a new area and we want to be sure we like it. And what better way than to try it out for a year and then make a decision? So we're going to rent a house, a single house, not an apartment and not a townhouse or duplex where we'll be sharing walls or living underneath people who wear high heels or anything like that. It'll be a house. You won't even know that it's rented. You would think that we would just own it. We're going to be living in a house as a family, finally. It's a big, big step up for us. But I've been dealing with two types of people in this space, this industry, and it made me realize that I have an idea, and I want to recommend that all of you guys or gals do this. And I'm going to tell you what that is in a minute. But just like other countries, they have a required, not voluntary, like the United States, we have a voluntary defense and military force. Israel, for all its faults, has a mandatory 2-year military service that you have to do and participate in once you turn 18. Every Israeli citizen goes through the Israeli military, and they're all better off for it. They all know how to work a gun, clean a rifle, defend their country, and they're done in 2 years. It's a very short commitment compared to the voluntary 4, 6, 10-year that you got to do in the United States. I think Finland in Northern Europe also has a system like this, but I think you all should do something. And I'm not telling you to join the military. I'm going to tell you something else. I think every one of you should have at least 1 or 2 years of quota carrying sales experience. What do I mean? I mean, you should have a job in which you have a quota every month or every quarter or every year that you have to fill, whether that's number of products sold, number of sales meetings scheduled, or number of dollars attained for the company. You should do that. And I don't mean a retail job. I don't mean go work at Starbucks or go work at, I don't even know the European chains. I'm not talking about working at a restaurant or a Starbucks or a retail store where you sit behind a cash register. Nor am I talking about a job where you sit by a phone and wait for customers to call you and buy without you having to do anything. They come to you, they want to buy something, and you just take their credit card or their cash. That is not what I'm talking about. That's inbound sales, and there's no challenge there. I'm talking about tried and true outbound sales that you have to work for, that you have to reach out to people, often cold, as in like they weren't expecting a call or an email from you, and you have to persuade them to buy what it is that you sell. And there's a reason that I say this. Well, let me tell you why I came up with this. We've been dealing with a lot of property management companies. So in America, it's a very wise and common thing to buy houses, like you live in a house or an apartment, but you buy additional homes that you rent out. The rent is going to equal out then more. The rent that you get every month is more than you owe the bank in terms of a mortgage if you take out a loan on the house, and also covers the taxes and any kind of repairs or upgrades you need to make to the house. Basically what I'm talking about is an investment property. In America, it's very common for people to have an investment property, and sometimes people have so many investment properties that they don't need to work anymore. They can retire on 5 or so investment properties and the income they get from them every month. I would love to do this one day. I don't have any problem with this. I think it's a completely legitimate thing. Um, However, a lot of people don't rent directly to the renter. They will pay a property management company. And there's advantages to that. One, all they have to do is sit back and they get charged every month by this company who handles everything, including the necessary repairs over time, as well as finding tenants, dealing with tenant issues. The downside is that property management agents, the people you contact generally to rent a place, are some of the most laziest people I have ever known in my life. And part of the reason is because they're not paid commission. You can find out this for yourself, by the way. Be in the West, America or Europe, and talk to people who rent houses versus people who sell houses for purchase. You'll see there's a difference night and day. The people who sell houses to you will pick up the phone at any time, 24/7, even on the weekends. They're working for money. They're working for a commission. That commission is how they stay wealthy, how they put food on the table and provide for their kids. Property managers are paid a base rate and nothing more. They don't get any kind of bonuses. They don't get any kind of spiffs or incentive to rent out the property versus not rent out the property. So they won't answer the phone on the weekends. They'll call you back 3 days later. They're not helpful. They sound rude and entitled on the phone, like you're bugging them, versus the real estate agents who are working for that commission. And they're super polite. They're super energetic. They'll answer the phone any time of day, like I said. And they work hard for the money. It's a night and day difference. And the reason is because when you're performance based, even though you might get a little bit of a base pay rate, it's not enough to cover your expenses and to make you attain any kind of goals that you have in terms of what you're trying to do with money. And so you've got to work hard to close these deals. And that means being available and being incredibly polite and being energetic and being enthusiastic about helping the customer find what they're looking for. And I want you guys to consider being in a commission-based environment for a year or two, or even running your own business where you'll have no choice but to do the selling and all that stuff. Because what it will do is it will make you a better employee or a better worker or a better business owner in anything you do after that. The same way that being in the military for a few years gives you leadership skills, takes away the fear of a lot of things, and gives you survival skills as well as weapon skills, things that you'll never forget and that you might have to use one day. Being in a sales-driven environment will do the same thing for the business world. It's like being in the military, but for the business world, and having a certain sense of urgency, or otherwise known as having a fire lit under your ass that makes you hustle and makes you work hard and fast, as opposed to just coasting by. We actually, at my company that I work at, we actually used to have a requirement that people who were in certain jobs that were not even selling anything had to come from a background of having sold something, so that we knew they understood the business side of the house and that they knew that they needed to have a sense of urgency and a hustle attitude. It is incredibly important. You will be very thankful if you heed this advice, because A, you'll at least have gone through it, even if you're not super successful. But if you are super successful, you're going to make a lot of money. and you're going to be really, really grateful, and you're never going to want to get out of sales. And sales can be selling software. It can be selling people. It can be selling, and I don't mean, sorry, when I say selling people, I don't mean slave trading. That's illegal. I mean actually helping people get jobs and helping companies hire people that they otherwise don't have the time to go out and look for. Um, it can be selling cars. I have a friend who sells cars. He didn't want to go to college. He thought college was going to be a waste of time. And so right out of high school, even though he was a great high school student, he got started in car dealerships. And now he's like 20, 21 years old, and he's making 70 or $80,000 a year in the area where he lives that is not expensive, and it's really good money, and he's just selling cars. He's a great salesman. He's a great hustler. And he's young. He is going to be able to take that sense of hustle and that sense of urgency and that sense of having to hit his money goals and his quota anywhere he goes. And he'll be doing very well in a few years. He will probably move into something like selling software where you can easily make $1 million a year if you know what you're doing. Um, Proud of that guy for sure. And very glad, and he is also grateful, and I'm very glad that he went into a sales-driven environment. I myself used to be a quota-based middleman, let's just say, and my first year of being successful in that, I got a real good taste of what real money was, even in the super expensive area that I live in. And ever since then, I have been able to hustle and work hard because I've understood the need for that kind of mentality, whether I'm paid on that or not. So the bottom line is, here I am working with people who make 20 bucks an hour, and then also working with people who are going to make a few $1,000s off of the decision that I make. And the difference between the personalities, the drive, the hustle of these people when I need them is night and day. Um, sure, a salesperson might be annoying because they're going to follow up with you, but they're going to help you and get it done. And to this day, when a third party calls me and does a little bit of that telemarketing stuff on me, I'm usually much more sympathetic than I used to be because I understand the hustle and I understand why they're doing what they're doing. And they might have kids to feed and they're hustling for the money, and I respect that. Money's not everything. As you know, being rich, it's hard to get into heaven if you're rich. That's right out of the Bible. The narrow path is usually not one paved with gold and money. But we do need money to feed our children. That's a fact. And I don't think the Bible would have anything wrong or any problem with you making sure your kids don't go hungry and making sure you're able to provide for them. I'm not saying money is the thing you need to love, but if you want to be better in the business world, having a sense of how to earn money is going to take you very far. So yeah, in conclusion, like I said, mandatory military service is great for building your body, your leadership, your personality. But if you want to build your business muscle, I highly recommend you go into a sales role for a year or two. And if you love it, stay in it. The money will be good. But what's better than that is the sense of urgency that you're going to get from it. Anyway, that concludes that. Let's do another video. Here it comes.